You know what? I'm actually going insane. There's so much Canucks-related news that has come out over the past, 12 hours that if I were to make one video talking about everything, I'd have a 35, 45-minute video. So, for the sake of making sure you aren't burnt out by me, and I'm not burnt out talking about things for a really long time, I'll distribute everything throughout the next few days into different videos, because today there were 6 different pieces of news that really are big pieces of news, and it's on Twitter, it was on TSN 1040, listening to things with JD Burke, Matt Sakaris, Todd Diamond got involved in there, but let's just get on with one of these big topics. This is what Matt Sakaris said on Twitter. I'm told the Canucks are indeed shopping Tanev. His injury history may scare some teams, and his limited no-trade clause of 8 teams he can block further shallows the pool, but he is in play. Sakaris was initially talking about the Justin Braun trade, because Justin Braun got traded over to the Flyers in exchange for a second in the draft and a third, so that was what Sakaris brought up. He said if the Canucks were so inclined, is this roughly the return in a Chris Tanev trade? Both are right-handed defensemen with 1 year remaining. Braun is cheaper with better offensive credentials, but the Sharks needed cap space and they didn't have the leverage. So Sakaris obviously is bringing this up, and he confirms his own suspicions here, saying that Chris Tanev is indeed on the trade block and that the Canucks are willing to shop him. And overall, it's just kind of weird. Because Tanev trade rumors they've been existing for years now, haven't they? We've been talking about Chris Tanev getting traded all the time. It's like a yearly thing now. Heck, I made a video 1 year ago, on June 20th, 2018, talking about Chris Tanev potentially going to the Tampa Bay Lightning. That was a report talking about, oh hey, Slater Cuckoo or Jake Dotchin and Tanev. So it's kind of funny how literally a year later I'm sitting here still talking about the same thing. It's kind of sad really, but talking about Tanev and trade rumors, it's a very interesting time for this stuff to be taking place, because Chris Tanev is a player who, if we traded him today, we would get less value back compared to if we traded Tanev 2 years ago. Because I think Tanev getting injured throughout the past few seasons has really just lowered and lowered his trade value as time has gone on, because he is 29 now. Yeah, it's really weird to think about. Tanev, the guy who was a rookie coming into the Stanley Cup Finals for the Canucks, he's 29 now. That's very, very weird. But Tanev, he hasn't played 70 games since 2015. The next few seasons, he's played 69 games, 53 games, 42 games, and most recently 45 games. And there really isn't too much to look at and say, yes, okay, if I trade for Chris Tanev, I'm getting a solid player who's going to be ready to go night in and night out. Because what you're getting with Tanev is a guy who will play 2/3 of the season before crapping out. And Tanev is a guy who doesn't really provide offense. That's something that I think everybody kind of knows at this point. He's a consistent 10-point guy in the year. And sure, he is really good defensively speaking. He's one of the best shutdown defensemen the Canucks have ever seen, and he's one of the most underrated shutdown defensemen in the league. But how much are you willing to pay if you're another NHL team looking at Tanev to get this defensively sound player who's only going to play 50 games on the year and who's only going to get 10 points? Justin Braun, as Sakaris pointed out, gets more points than that. He's capable of getting upwards of 20 plus points in a year, and he usually plays the full year. So I think taking a look at Braun and Tanev and saying, hey, okay, Braun got a second and a third, does that mean that Tanev is going to get a second and a third? I don't think that's a super fair comparison, even though the contracts are the same and they're both right-handed defensemen who are a little bit on the older side. Justin Braun is 32. So I don't really know what exactly there is to say about this other than I don't see it happening. Seriously, we say Tanev is going to get traded every year, but it never happens, and if this is the year to trade Tanev, then I really think it's a bad move because we should have done it earlier. But, you know, if we are able to trade Tanev and get a few draft picks back, I'm not going to complain. I'm going to sit here and be like, yeah, okay, that's great. We got draft picks. Cool. But Jim Benning really missed an opportunity here when it comes to trading Tanev if he decides to pull the trigger now rather than in the past. Now, sure, people grow, people change, people learn from their mistakes, and I understand that. But Jim Benning taking a look at it and saying that now is the time to revamp our defensive core does not eliminate the fact that Tanev a few years ago would have gotten more. And you could say that that's poor planning, you can say whatever you want, but that's the bottom line, and I don't think you can tell me that I'm wrong. So overall, if we trade Tanev for picks, that's a 29-year-old guy taken away for younger assets, I'm all for it. I don't believe it was the best move to wait this long, but, you know, whatever happens, happens, and as long as we do get younger, I'll be okay with it. Chris Tanev, does he get traded? And who does he get traded to? I want you to tell me in the comments below. Hope you enjoyed this video, social9, and bye.